There is a limit to what your mind can perceive, not a limit imposed by intelligence or education or effort or the willingness to think carefully about difficult things. A limit that is structural, built into the architecture of human cognition at a level so fundamental that no amount of effort or intelligence can fully overcome it. And the moment you genuinely encounter that limit, not just read about it intellectually, but actually push against it honestly, with real sustained effort to perceive what it is telling you cannot be perceived, something happens to your understanding of consciousness that cannot be undone. Not because the fifth dimension is mystical or supernatural or beyond the reach of mathematics. Mathematics describes it with complete precision and clarity. But because the human mind, the specific, evolved, three-dimensionally calibrated instrument of awareness that you are using right now to process these words, was not built to perceive it directly, and the experience of genuinely trying, of pushing your awareness up against the edge of what human cognition can hold, and feeling that edge from the inside, is one of the most revealing and most disorienting experiences available to a conscious mind. It reveals something about the nature of perception that most people never encounter directly, something about what consciousness is and what it is not, something about the relationship between the mind and the reality it inhabits that changes the way you understand both. Tonight we go all the way into it. Welcome to Quantaverse. There was a woman named Brittany who was good at thinking about space. She was an architect, someone whose professional life was organized around the precise manipulation of three-dimensional form. She could look at a set of drawings and construct a complete, accurate, navigable mental model of the space they described. She could walk through buildings in her mind before they existed physically. She could hold complex three-dimensional relationships in her awareness simultaneously and reason about them with a clarity that most people found remarkable. She was, by any reasonable measure, someone with an unusually well-developed capacity for spatial cognition. And then one afternoon, during a conversation with a mathematician friend about higher dimensional geometry, she tried something she had never tried before. She tried to genuinely visualize a four-dimensional object, not to understand it mathematically, not to work with it symbolically, to actually see it, to construct in her mind a genuine spatial representation of something that exists in four spatial dimensions, the way the buildings she designed existed in three. She tried for a long time, with genuine sustained effort, using every spatial, cognitive tool she had, and she hit something she had never hit before in her professional life. A wall, not a wall of complexity. She was accustomed to complexity. A wall of a different kind. A limit that was not about the difficulty of the problem, but about the nature of the instrument she was using to approach it. Her mind could not do this thing. Not because she was not intelligent enough, but because the thing she was trying to do required a perceptual capacity that human minds do not have. There was also a woman named Stephanie who had encountered the same wall from a different direction. Stephanie was a theoretical physicist who worked with higher dimensional mathematics every day. She was completely comfortable with the formal description of five-dimensional space, could write down the equations, could reason about the geometric properties, could work through the mathematical implications of adding dimensions with the same ease that Brittany moved through three-dimensional architectural space. What Stephanie could not do, what she had known for years she could not do and had made a kind of peace with, was visualize what she was working with. The mathematics was clear. The mental image was impossible. And what interested her, what she had been thinking about for years in the gaps between the formal mathematical work, was what that gap between the mathematical description and the visual experience actually meant, what it revealed about the relationship between the formal structures that mathematics can describe and that they ascribe, and the perceptual structures that human consciousness can directly access. The gap was not a failure of intelligence or imagination. It was information. Information about the nature of human consciousness and its relationship to the reality that mathematics keeps insisting is larger and stranger than human perception can directly hold. Let us build the foundation. What is the fifth dimension? Not in the science fiction sense, not in the metaphorical sense that the word gets used in popular culture, in the precise mathematical and physical sense. Start with what you know. You live in three spatial dimensions: length, width, height. Every location in the space you move through can be specified by three numbers, three coordinates, that tell you exactly where something is. A point in three-dimensional space needs three pieces of information to be fully located. This is not a human convention. It is a description of the actual structure of the space you inhabit. Now add a dimension. A fourth spatial dimension would be a direction, a genuine physical direction that is perpendicular to all three of the spatial directions you already know. Not up, not forward, not sideways. Perpendicular to all of those simultaneously. A direction that has no name in ordinary human language, because ordinary human language was built by creatures who live in three spatial dimensions and have never needed a word for a fourth spatial direction. This is not impossible mathematically. The mathematics of four-dimensional space is completely well-defined, internally consistent, and has been studied in detail for over a century. What is impossible, or rather what is beyond the reach of human visual cognition, is constructing a genuine mental image of it, seeing it the way you see a cube or a sphere or a building, and the fifth dimension adds another layer, another direction perpendicular to all the ones before it. Another coordinate needed to fully specify a location, another spatial relationship that the mathematics describes with perfect clarity and that human visual cognition cannot directly access. Brittany spent several weeks after her initial encounter with four-dimensional geometry, trying to understand exactly what she had hit when she hit the wall. She was not willing to simply accept it as a given. She wanted to understand it. She talked to the mathematician friend who had introduced her to the problem. She watched visualizations that mathematicians had created to help people develop some kind of intuition for higher dimensional space, projections of four-dimensional objects into three-dimensional space. The way a three-dimensional object projected onto a flat surface produces a two-dimensional shadow. She could follow these visualizations intellectually. She could understand what they were showing and why. What she could not do was have the direct perceptual experience they were trying to evoke. The experience of actually seeing the four-dimensional object rather than seeing a three-dimensional representation of it. And in trying to understand why she could not do this, she arrived at something that surprised her. The limit was not in her mathematics. It was not in her ability to reason about higher dimensional space abstractly. It was specifically and only in her visual cognition, in the part of her mind that constructs spatial representations. And that specificity, the fact that the limit was located in a particular cognitive system rather than in her general intelligence, told her something important, that the perceptual system and the reasoning system were separate, that you could reason about things your perceptual system could not directly represent, and that the world, the actual physical world described by mathematics, might be significantly larger than the portion of it that human perceptual systems can directly access. Here is where the neuroscience becomes important. Why is human visual cognition three-dimensional? Why do human brains construct three-dimensional representations of space rather than four-dimensional or five-dimensional ones? The answer is evolution. Human brains developed their spatial cognition in an environment that required navigating three-dimensional physical space, finding food, avoiding predators, moving through terrain, building shelter. All of these survival-relevant activities occur in three-dimensional space, and so the neural architecture that human brains developed for spatial cognition is specifically calibrated for three dimensions, not because three dimensions is the limit of what exists, but because three dimensions is the limit of what was relevant to survival in the environment in which human brains evolved. The visual cortex, the part of the brain that processes spatial information, constructs three-dimensional models from two-dimensional retinal images. This is a remarkable and complex feat of neural computation, but it is a feat specifically designed for three dimensions. The neural architecture does not generalize to four or five dimensions because there was never any evolutionary pressure to develop that generalization. The result is a cognitive system that is extraordinarily good at three-dimensional spatial reasoning and fundamentally limited when it comes to genuinely perceiving anything beyond that, not limited in its ability to reason about higher dimensions mathematically, limited in its ability to directly see them, to construct genuine spatial representations of them the way it constructs genuine spatial representations of the three-dimensional world it evolved to navigate. Stephanie had thought about this a great deal. The distinction between mathematical knowledge and perceptual experience was one she lived with every day. She could write down the metric tensor for a five-dimensional space. She could calculate geodesics in it. She could reason about the geometric properties of five-dimensional objects with the same fluency that Brittany reasoned about three-dimensional buildings. And she could not see any of it, could not construct a genuine visual representation of it. The mathematics and the perception were operating on completely different tracks. And what this told her, what she had concluded after years of working with higher dimensional mathematics and simultaneously being unable to perceive what she was working with, was something philosophically significant. It told her that the human perceptual system is a limited instrument, not limited in the sense of being faulty or inadequate for its purposes, limited in the sense that it accesses a portion of reality, a specific, three-dimensionally structured portion, and presents that portion as though it were the whole. The experience of living in three-dimensional perceptual space feels total. It feels like the whole of what is there. There is no gap in the experience, no obvious absence, no visible edge beyond which more reality waits to be perceived. The three-dimensional world of human experience is seamless and complete feeling, and yet mathematics keeps demonstrating that what lies beyond the perceptual horizon of human cognition is not nothing. It is more reality, more structure, more dimensions of physical existence that are just as real as the three that human cognition can directly access and just as inaccessible to direct human perception as the interior of a black hole or the moment before the Big Bang. Here is the question that connects the mathematics and the neuroscience to the personal. If human perception is a limited instrument, if the world you directly experience is a portion of a larger reality that your perceptual system is not built to access, what does that say about the relationship between your experience of reality and reality itself? This is not a rhetorical question. It is a genuine, practically significant question with real implications for how you understand your own experience. Most people move through life with an implicit assumption, never fully articulated, never examined, but operative in how they think and feel and make decisions, that their experience of reality is reality, that what they perceive is what is there, that the world as it appears to human consciousness is the world as it actually is. The mathematics of higher dimensions challenges this assumption directly, not vaguely, not metaphorically. With complete mathematical precision, it demonstrates that there are aspects of physical reality, real, physical, not metaphorical or spiritual aspects, that human perceptual systems cannot directly access. The world is larger than it looks, not in the colloquial sense, in the literal, mathematically precise, physically grounded sense. And once you genuinely absorb that, once you let it actually change something about your relationship with your own perceptual experience rather than simply filing it as an interesting intellectual fact, something shifts in how you understand what you're looking at when you look at anything. Brittany reached a specific insight several months into her exploration of higher dimensional geometry. She was working on a building design, doing what she did every day, constructing detailed three-dimensional mental models of spaces that did not yet exist. And she found herself thinking about the relationship between the two-dimensional drawings on her screen and the three-dimensional space they represented. A person who could only perceive two dimensions would look at her drawings and see everything that was there in two dimensions: the lines, the shapes, the spatial relationships in the plane. They would not see the three-dimensional building, not because the three-dimensional building was not described by the drawings, but because their perceptual system was not built to extract the three-dimensional information from the two-dimensional representation. They would be looking at a complete and accurate description of a three-dimensional reality and be unable to perceive what it was describing. And she thought, "This is what I am doing with the four-dimensional visualizations. I am looking at a complete and accurate representation of a four-dimensional reality and being unable to perceive what it is representing, not because the representation is inadequate, because my perceptual system is calibrated for three dimensions and cannot extract the four-dimensional structure from the three-dimensional projection." And then she took the thought one step further. If human visual cognition is the three-dimensional analog of two-dimensional visual cognition, if human perception relates to five-dimensional reality, the way a flatlander's perception relates to three-dimensional reality, then what is the human three-dimensional perceptual experience missing? What is present in the higher dimensional structure of reality that human consciousness simply cannot access because it was not built to? She did not have an answer, but the question changed something about how she looked at everything. The seamless, complete feeling, apparently total experience of three-dimensional perceptual reality suddenly felt not inadequate, not broken, but partial. A genuine and accurate perception of a genuine portion of a larger reality. The portion that human cognition was built to access, not the whole. Now, let us talk about what physics actually says about higher dimensions. Not speculatively, what the mathematics and the physics actually demonstrate. The most successful physical theories developed in the 20th and 21st centuries. Theories that make extraordinarily precise predictions that have been confirmed by experiment require more than 3 spatial dimensions to be consistent. String theory, the most mathematically developed attempt to unify quantum mechanics with general relativity, requires 10 spatial dimensions for its mathematical consistency. M-theory, the framework that encompasses the various versions of string theory, requires 11 dimensions. These are not arbitrary choices. The number of dimensions is fixed by the mathematical requirement that the theories be internally consistent, that they not produce contradictory predictions or mathematical nonsense. Remove dimensions and the mathematics breaks. The theories only work in the number of dimensions they require. Now the obvious question is, if these theories require 10 or 11 dimensions, why do we only perceive 3? The answer that most physicists work with is that the extra dimensions are compactified. They are curled up at a scale so small, many orders of magnitude smaller than the smallest structures currently detectable by any existing experimental apparatus, that they have no observable effects at the scales of energy and distance that human technology can currently probe. The extra dimensions are real. The theories require them, but they are hidden. Not hidden in a conspiratorial sense. Hidden in the sense of being below the threshold of any currently possible observation. And what that means, if these theories are correct, is that the three-dimensional space you perceive and navigate is embedded in a higher dimensional space that is just as physically real but completely inaccessible to direct human observation. Not because your senses are failing, but because the additional dimensions are compactified at a scale that nothing in your environment can probe. Stephanie found this aspect of her work, the fact that she was doing mathematics in a dimensional space that was almost certainly physically real, but that nobody had ever directly observed, both humbling and exhilarating. Humbling because it was a constant reminder of the gap between what mathematics could describe and what human experience could access. Exhilarating because it meant that the work she was doing, the mathematical exploration of higher dimensional space, was not abstract in the sense of disconnected from physical reality. It was concrete in the deepest sense. It was a genuine investigation of the actual structure of the physical universe. A universe that was larger and more dimensionally complex than human perception could directly access. And what she found most interesting, what she had been thinking about for years, and what she had never seen discussed in terms she found fully satisfying, was the question of what the compactification of extra dimensions meant for consciousness. Human consciousness evolved in three-dimensional space. The perceptual systems that constitute human conscious experience are calibrated for three-dimensional space. But if physical reality is genuinely higher dimensional, if the universe actually has 10 or 11 spatial dimensions, of which 3 are large and perceptible, and the rest are compactified, then human consciousness is embedded in a higher dimensional reality that it cannot directly perceive. The consciousness is three-dimensional. The reality it is embedded in is not. And the relationship between a three-dimensional consciousness and a higher dimensional physical reality, the way that consciousness accesses and represents and makes sense of a reality that is larger than its perceptual reach, is a question that she found genuinely fascinating and genuinely unresolved. Here's a question for you, and I want you to sit with it honestly. Has there ever been a moment in your life when you had the distinct sense that reality was larger than what you were perceiving? Not in a supernatural sense, not in a way that required any particular belief system, just the quiet, persistent, sometimes unsettling intuition that what is directly visible and audible and tangible, what your senses are delivering to your conscious experience, is not the whole of what is there, that there is more. Not necessarily more in a spiritual sense, just more structure, more connection, more going on beneath the surface of what direct perception can access. If you have had that intuition, and I suspect many of the people watching this channel have, what you have been sensing may not be mystical. It may be accurate. It may be the correct intuition of a consciousness embedded in a higher dimensional physical reality that it cannot directly perceive, sensing the presence of something beyond its perceptual horizon without being able to specify what that something is. The intuition that reality is larger than it looks is not necessarily wishful thinking. It may be the most accurate thing you know. Tell me in the comments, have you ever had that sense? The sense that there was more to what was happening than what you could directly perceive. I want to know, because I think that intuition, however it presents itself, whatever form it takes in different people's experience, is pointing at something real. Brittany and Stephanie met through a mutual friend who thought they should talk to each other. The friend was right. They sat across from each other in a restaurant and spent 4 hours in a conversation that both of them later described as one of the most interesting they had ever had. Brittany brought the experiential, practical, cognitively grounded perspective. What it actually felt like to push against the limit of three-dimensional spatial cognition. What the wall felt like from the inside. What it had done to her understanding of perception and consciousness to genuinely encounter a limit she had not known was there. Stephanie brought the mathematical and physical framework, what higher dimensional spaces actually are, what the theories that require them actually claim, what is established and what remains speculative. Together they were articulating something neither of them had been able to articulate alone. The experience of being a three-dimensional consciousness in a reality that mathematics keeps insisting is higher dimensional. The specific, practically significant, personally transformative implications of genuinely absorbing that fact, not just knowing it, absorbing it, letting it change something about how you understand what you are looking at when you look at anything, what you are experiencing when you experience anything, what you are when you are a conscious observer embedded in a physical reality that is larger than your consciousness can directly perceive. Let me tell you what I think the most practically important implication of all of this actually is. Human perceptual experience feels total. It feels like everything. There is no obvious gap, no visible edge beyond which more reality waits. The three-dimensional world of human experience is seamless and apparently complete. And that seamlessness, that feeling of totality, is one of the most important cognitive phenomena to understand, because it means that the limitation is invisible from the inside. You cannot see the edge of your perceptual reach because everything you can see is within your perceptual reach. The things beyond it are not visible as absences. They are simply not present in your experience at all. And this means that the confidence with which human beings treat their perceptual experience as a complete and accurate representation of reality, the confidence that what is perceived is what is there, is a confidence that is not warranted by anything available within the perceptual experience itself. The experience feels total. The feeling of totality is not evidence of totality. It is what a limited perceptual system always feels like from the inside. A two-dimensional being would have the same feeling. A being with only one spatial dimension would have the same feeling. The feeling of perceptual completeness is not a reliable indicator of actual completeness. And genuinely absorbing that, letting it change your relationship with your own experience rather than simply filing it as an interesting thought, produces something important, a quality of epistemic humility, a genuine, grounded, mathematically supported recognition that what you are experiencing is real and accurate and valuable and partial, a genuine and accurate perception of a genuine portion of a larger reality, not the whole. Brittany applied this to her work. She started approaching design differently, not in a way that her clients would have noticed, but in a way she felt from the inside. She brought a different quality of attention to the spaces she was designing, a quality she could only describe as awareness of the partial, an ongoing background recognition that the three-dimensional space she was working with, the space her clients would inhabit, the space her own consciousness was navigating so fluently, was embedded in something larger that neither she nor her clients could directly access. That did not change the practical requirements of the work, but it changed the spirit in which she did it, a kind of reverence for the three-dimensional, a recognition that the portion of reality that human consciousness can directly access, while partial, is genuinely extraordinary, that the capacity for three-dimensional spatial experience, for seeing and navigating and creating in three-dimensional space, is a remarkable thing, not diminished by its partiality, made more remarkable by the recognition of what it is doing against the background of a reality that is larger than it can fully hold. Stephanie applied it differently. She had always been comfortable with the gap between mathematical knowledge and perceptual experience. It was a gap she had lived with professionally for years. What changed after the conversation with Brittany was her understanding of the significance of the gap at the level of consciousness, rather than just at the level of professional practice. She had thought about it primarily as a feature of her work, a fact about the relationship between mathematical formalism and perceptual cognition that was relevant to physics and mathematics. She started thinking about it as a feature of consciousness itself, as something that said something important about what conscious experience is, not just about higher dimensional mathematics. Every conscious experience is like this. Every perception is a partial sampling of a reality that is larger than the perceptual system accessing it, not just in the sense of higher spatial dimensions. In every sense, the three-dimensional perceptual world is already an extraordinary reduction of the information available in physical reality, a selection and construction, not a recording. Higher dimensions simply make that reduction especially vivid by pointing to a specific mathematically defined category of what is not included, and what that means for how she understood consciousness, for what she thought awareness actually was and what it was doing, changed something fundamental. Consciousness was not a window onto reality. It was a particular, limited, extraordinarily sophisticated instrument for accessing a portion of reality, a portion that was real and navigable and practically sufficient for human life, and also partial, always partial in ways that could be described mathematically and partial in ways that could not. Here is what breaking your mind against the fifth dimension actually produces. Not confusion, not despair, not the paralyzing sense that nothing can be known because everything is partial. What it produces when it is approached honestly and absorbed genuinely is a specific kind of liberation, the liberation of no longer treating your perceptual experience as a prison, as the fixed, final, definitive account of what reality is. When you genuinely absorb the fact that your three-dimensional perceptual experience is a real and accurate and sophisticated access to a real and genuine portion of a larger reality. When you stop treating it as a whole and start treating it as a window, something opens. The world does not become less real. It becomes more interesting, because now the question of what lies beyond the perceptual horizon, what is present in the higher dimensional structure of physical reality that human consciousness cannot directly access, is not a supernatural question. It is a scientific one, a philosophical one, a genuinely open question that mathematics and physics are making genuine progress on, and your relationship with your own consciousness changes. It becomes less a matter of defending the completeness of your experience and more a matter of genuinely inhabiting the portion of reality that your consciousness can access with full presence, with genuine attention, with the specific quality of appreciation that comes from knowing that what you are experiencing is extraordinary, even though it is partial, especially because it is partial, because the partiality is what makes the extraordinary precision and depth of three-dimensional human experience possible. The constraint is what enables the access, and the access, however limited, is astonishing. You have a consciousness that was built by millions of years of evolution to navigate a specific portion of physical reality with extraordinary precision and depth. You can see and hear and touch and reason about three-dimensional space with a sophistication that no known artificial system can fully replicate. You can construct mental models of spaces that do not yet exist. You can reason about the future and the past. You can hold abstract concepts in awareness and manipulate them. You can feel. You can care. You can find meaning in the extraordinary fact of being aware at all. All of this remarkable, specific, extraordinarily sophisticated instrument of consciousness is operating in a physical reality that mathematics tells. Use is significantly larger and more dimensionally complex than the portion your consciousness can directly access. And that fact, genuinely absorbed rather than intellectually filed, is not diminishing. It is clarifying. It tells you something important about what consciousness is, not a window onto the totality of reality. Something better than that. A specific, precise, evolutionarily honed, genuinely remarkable instrument for accessing and navigating the portion of reality that is relevant to the kind of being you are. A portion that is real, that is accurately perceived. That is worth inhabiting with full presence and genuine attention, and that is embedded in something larger, something that mathematics keeps pointing toward and human perception cannot fully reach, which makes the question of what reality actually is, in its fullness, one of the most genuinely open and genuinely important questions available. This is Quantaverse. Keep questioning. Keep perceiving. Keep pushing against the edges of what can be known, because the edges, the places where human consciousness meets its own limits, are where the most interesting things happen. Once awareness begins, nothing ever looks the same again.